Salud, mi gente, your boys coming through once again. Before we continue with this video, do not forget to hit the like, subscribe to the channel. For those of me showing love and support, I do highly appreciate it. So it was brought to my attention about this one channel who put out there the parole hearing transcripts from Dubs, right? So I went over there to see why, because I'm interested in what kind of mentality one has when you go to the parole hearing, right? I went to the parole hearing, and I only know the questions that were asked from me, and also how I answer those, right? See, for those who don't know nothing about parole hearing and stuff like that, if you were a lifer or you still are a lifer in prison, in California prison, you have to go to parole hearing in order to regain your freedom, right? So it's going to be a panel of 3 commissioners who are going to decide is a yes or a no, depending on how you answer those questions. And what people are and what those commissioners are looking for, they want to see remorse. They want to see that you don't put no blame or nothing, take responsibility, fully responsibility. And what have you done with your life? You know, that you have some solid plans, and that you don't do the same thing once they let you out, because at the end of the day, their signature is going to be on that release form, right? So it's going to fall back on them. So they don't want to let somebody who is at risk of committing another crime out there on the streets, right? And then coming back to them. They don't want that. So when I went, it's not like that I was a lifer, but in 2016, 2017, something changed, right? And where now individuals like me who had a lot of years in prison, once you did 15 years straight in prison, you had the opportunity to go in front of this board and actually plead your case, right? If not, I would have got out this year in June of 2025. That was my out date, you know, because I had caught time inside the system, right? And it's an experience of its own, you know. They tell you what you should do. They tell you how you should answer stuff like that. And I can tell that Dubs was not ready for his parole board, in my opinion, right? Because a lot of those answers that he was giving, it was a yes. Yes. And one thing I was told is like, okay, when they ask you a question and they want to, or if they bring something up, you have to elaborate. You cannot not just say yes. You have to say, look, man, this is what happened and this is how it happened, period. Because if you're just saying yes on everything, you're just letting them know or letting them guide everything right there. Now you have to plead. Come on, you are fighting for your freedom. So you have to speak on things that you have done, right? So I want to go a little bit over his 115s, right? Because he got a lot of 115s. I believe he got 12. I had 9 115s, but they were not as serious as this ones, you know. This guy was getting caught with a lot of weapons. I think he got caught with 2 weapons. And that's why the shoot terms were happening. You get a caught with a weapon, you do like I believe it's like 6 months on the shoot. That's what it used to be, right? But I think if you get caught like multiple times, like 2 times, 3 times, whatever, they go higher on your shoot time. So it seems like in '96, I don't know if that's when he went to prison in New Folsom. But in '96, that's when he got in trouble the most, right? And that was when he was in New Folsom. The first 115 was the riot. That was the riot that he was involved in '96, which I believe it was like something around May, something around that month. And man, being involved in the riot at that early age, I think he was young. It is crazy, man. You cannot take away from that, man. Being in riots, trust me, it's nothing nice. It's nothing nice at all. You never know what's gonna happen, and some people, I can say, some people in the back of their mind is like, man, I wonder if I'm gonna get shot, you know. And you're gonna do what you're gonna do, but there's always that possibility, man, of you getting hit with the Mini 14, man. And it's nothing nice. They're not gonna hit you just to give you a warning sign. Oh, let me just take off his leg right now. Nah, he's gonna do a shot that's gonna take you out, man. That was his first 115. Eventually, months later, like in '96, the guy was activated, right? It was getting in a lot of trouble. But at '96, let's say 2 months after that, he was involved in a battery on inmate. And basically, his participation on this 115 was basically they took off on somebody, right? It does not say that that person, the victim, got actually poked or nothing like that, if you know what I mean, right? But what he described is basically that he was holding the inmate's leg as another individual kicked him in the head, right? No, kicked him on the head. And then he suffered some kind of trauma to his head. Imagine getting kicked with the boots, man. I have told a story where in high desert, somebody who decided, I don't know if they should wear boots in Folsom, right? I think so. I don't know. But in high desert, I have told a story that there's the Southsiders took off on somebody, right, of their own, and they kicked somebody on the head, or they were kicking him, and that was it. The gunner seen this, aimed, and unalive him right on the spot. He was not using a weapon, but since your boots are considered a weapon, that's one thing that a lot of people don't think when you're in the heat of the moment, when you see somebody on the ground and you're just trying to victimize this guy. When you start using your feet, your boots, that's considered a weapon, and the tower has all the right to actually aim at you and end your life right there. You know, it is scary situations, man, to be involved in stuff like that, because you know that everybody's looking at you, everybody is paying attention to what's going on, and it's just a matter of time. And depending on who is in the tower, it's gonna be up to him if he wants to use that weapon or not, man. So he was involved in this stuff. He was doing his thing for sure. You know, you can't take away from this. Then after that, of course, with this being it, I believe he went to ADSEC, right? Now, once in ADSEC, he refused. This is third 115. He refused for a search in his cell, and then he got a 115 for that. I don't know what they were searching for. Most likely, they're searching for weapons, stuff like that. And because he refused the cops to go inside the cell, he received a 115. That was his third 115. Eventually, he got caught with the weapon. Got caught with another weapon. I don't know if it was a weapon, but he said that it was like a piece of glass with some metal that some guy had cut or got from his cell. For those who are familiar or have seen a picture of a cell, a CDCR cell, you have a light on top of you, right? And you can either break the light, open it, do whatever you're gonna do, and from right there you can get weapon stock, right? So apparently this one guy got all that stuff, sent it to them, but didn't specify that, hey man, by the way, I broke the whole light. So of course, when the cops sees do count or whatever the case might be, he looks up there like, hold on, what happened to your light, man? Of course, they're gonna go do a search, and they're gonna search everything to try to look for this this metal, this glass, you know, and they found it on Dub's cell. Then after that, hold on, let me drink some coffee. Then after that, after being at the shoot for this, right, the weapon stock, the knife that he found, was not weapon stock. It was, I believe it was just, if they give him a weapon, possession of a weapon, it already had a handle. You know, once you put a handle, it's different, because if it does not have a handle, it will consider weapon stock. And I don't think you will not cash a case. The DA is not gonna pick that. And that's one thing that with Dubs, this happened. Even though he got caught with weapons, it doesn't seem like the DA actually picked those cases, you know. For what I have seen, like everybody who had a weapon, got caught with a weapon, they pick up their cases. Because if that was the case, let's say, if they would have at least on that the battery of inmate, or when he got caught with the weapon, or when he got caught with the slicing, which I'm gonna speak on it. Basically, if the DA was to pick that case and give him time for that, let's say he would have got granted parole in, I don't know, in 2017 when they granted him parole. I believe that was the time. He would have to do the other time that he caught behind those walls. So he was lucky not to catch time, or at least for the DA not to pick up the case, man. And it goes back to, again, back in those days, there was no hope for lifers. No lifer was going to go home. That changed in 2016, 2017. That's when people started going out there and they were getting action back to back, man. That's why a lot of lifers made it outside. So he's following 115. That's when he was transferred to CCI, right? The so-called what's called like 50-50, where it seemed like he got off on R&R. And what he did, he actually got a hold of a former Southsider who was in this yard, and he sliced him in the face, give him what some people call a puto mark. That, I don't know why, but people call that shit that. And you know what? I have seen those scars, but they're not as common as you might think. And the worst that I have seen somebody is somebody from Orange County, but they got him in the Condado of Orange. And they did with him, like, they did him bad, man. And I don't know how many blades did Dubs use, but some people put like four or five blades, man. And it was a Tomahawk, that's what it is. And with this, they just go down to town. And I remember seeing this guy, and he had his head sliced, his face, man, his arms. It was all bad. He was a YA baby. And I mean, whatever the case might be, what happened, I don't know if something happened in YA or whatever was the case, because he was pretty young, man. He was pretty young when he hit the system. So I'm assuming that what happened to him, it had something to do with YA. I don't know what was the case, what was going on. I didn't ask. I didn't care. I was like, damn, dude, they did you very... they did him gacho. But I don't think it was nothing weird, but it had something to do with something, right? So this is when he sliced this Southsider, and of course, with this, you're going to get another shoe term, right? And again, I was surprised that they didn't pick up this case, but it had to be because of the time. The year that this happened, no lifers had actions at all. And this guy was getting himself into, I mean, especially the first two 115s, well, at least the riot. The second one, I'm pretty sure he was involved in beating up this guy or whatever they did. And then at the end, he hold somebody's legs, and his crimey kicked him on the head, right? That's about it. But getting caught with weapons, man, that's a lot of hit. That's 2 years every time you get caught with one of those 2 years that the DA is going to give you. So we have another one, and that's refusing a direct order. Sometimes when people get this type of 115s, man, could be because they're protesting. Okay, you know what? We're not going to lock it up. We're going to stay right here. We're going to sit down because we're protesting something. It could be that, or it could be, I don't know, something else, right? But refusing a direct order, I have seen that like sometimes, right? But it's not as common as you might think. But that is basically a cop gonna give you the 115 because of whatever reason. Maybe he don't like you. Maybe he told you something that you didn't do. Like, hey, take it in, or do this, do that, whatever. Then another one, he got caught with alcohol. I believe they went into ADSEG. In his cell, he had alcohol. And right here, even I believe his cellie was the one cooking alcohol. They get both of those guys guilty. They have to find them guilty, right? Because of even though the alcohol might be in your property, they have to find you guilty because there's two individuals in one cell. And come on, it's just common sense that somebody's gonna know that there's alcohol in that cell. You have to smell it. You have to see it. You're in ADSEG, so you have to see when your cellie takes it out to warm it up and stuff like that. So when they search this cell looking for weapons, I believe, which they found a weapon. He got another 115 for that. That's when they came across the alcohol, and they hit him with two 115s. If you were in that yard and you were getting this many 115s, I believe 3, you go to C status, like a C status. I don't know if he got 3 115s back to back, but when you go on C status, that means that you have to send your property home. And that's one thing, like a lot of people prefer going to AdSeg than actually staying in the yard and being on C status. Why? Because in hard C, you have to send your property home. At least if you go to AdSeg, they're going to keep your property in the boxes, right? So that's why some people are like, man, if I'm going to get my third write-up or whatever, it's going to be something so I can go to AdSeg, because I'm not going to send my property home and stuff like that, you know? I prefer to be on D status instead of C. Look, that's 11. I think he had like 12 115s. I don't know if the last one, it was him. There's another one. I forgot what it was, but it was nothing major. It's just another one of those, man. It was like whether refuse an order or something like that. It was nothing major, but he got caught with the weapon twice in his career. He was actually involved in one riot. Also, he was involved in a slicing that took place in Tehachapi, and he was involved in give him a calentada to a former Southsider or to a Southsider. I don't know what happened, if he tapped in after that, but he was involved in giving him a calentada, which he said that he was holding his legs. But, he had to be more involved in that, of course. But what I seen on this transcripts, right, is that at that point, it didn't seem like he was taking remorse, or he was not ready. I don't believe he was ready. I think he went to Boer just to understand what he was going to be required to bring. And again, I'm not minimizing none of this stuff. It's just a little bit about what I seen on these transcripts and what I can give you my perspective when it comes to this. But he was very lucky. He was very lucky that I believe it's called Thompson something. It's like a case in where you catch a case in prison, and that is run consecutive to your case. So got lucky he didn't catch a case. Again, is because he was a lifer, and that's how a lot of lifers were involved in things. Why? Because most likely they were not going to catch cases. Now, when it comes to somebody who didn't have life, trust me, that DA was gonna pick up the case because they want more lifers in prison. Period. Simple. That's why when individuals do have years and they're not lifers putting in work, you have to give more credit to those guys, because they know, you should know that these guys are going to catch more time, can become a lifer. And at the end of the day, you know what? If you're in prison with the prison mentality, you give them credit. But if you're out here on the streets, you cannot give credit to that, because they're giving away their lives for a belief that at the end of the day, what good is going to give to yourself? Nothing, right? Nothing good is going to come out of it. You have to understand that eventually the ones who are being affected are your family. And that's it, man. That's it. We have to put ourselves first and then see what's going to be the best for us. At the end of the day, everybody's entitled to think, act however they want. But I am interested on transcripts. I am interested. And the reason why, because I like to hear how people used to talk, how they answer things. Because, again, I went to board and they told me that you're supposed to do this. When I went to board, I got trained by some guy who went like 5 different times to board. I believe he got granted 3 times. But the governor used to reject his stuff. Why? Because he was in for, I believe, 2 unalives. And once he was in prison, he got a certain status that he was involved in 3 unalives in prison. Like he was in charge of giving the orders of unaliving 3 people, man. So they put those bodies on his case as well, you know. And basically, what he was saying, like he was considered like a serial killer, you know, because he has like 5 bodies, you know. But even though he didn't do the last 3, but he ordered that, you know. But at the end of the day, hopefully you like this video. Stay true to yourself. I thought that maybe you would like to get this information right here. It's something that this one channel put it out there, and I believe he's gonna put the other transcripts, the one that happened in 2017 when his stuff got granted. But it did surprise me how in 2011, whenever he went to his first parole hearing, this is the one that you hear on his case about the lawsuit. The mentality, right? I didn't see no. He could have elaborated more, but again, you cannot expect that from somebody who hasn't got the schooling. And when I said the schooling, when it has to go to groups and where they tell you how to answer certain things, and it was just I'm glad he went, because some people do refuse it. They're like, I'm not ready, I'm not gonna go. No, you have to go so you understand, and those people are gonna tell you. And that's why after that, I'm pretty sure they gave him like a 5-year denial. After that, I'm pretty sure they gave him a 5-year denial, because it doesn't look like he was ready at all, right? So with this being said, we are out to next video. Saludos a todos. Gracias.